separation, whether there's we call them trackers, but they're really stalkers for the other side, or it's just an interested person who just happens to have their camera phone when you drop an F-bomb as a candidate, or you say, as one of our candidates did, while visiting an inner city school and trying to examine bilingual education, said, "Do any of these kids speak English?" Yes. And that was caught on tape. So let me just go through a couple of these things real quick to give you some food for thought. I'll try to get through them. Basically, the first one is, what is the media? I think we all talked about that. The media is everything we have out there. We have the earned media, the old Boston Globe, Herald media, which is sort of crumbling every day. I joke that sometimes these newspapers show how they're declining readership, but if you go to the obituaries and you look at anyone over the age of 55, God bless them, will pass on to the next world, that's a newspaper reader, and they're going away and they're not being replaced by another newspaper reader. But we still have to deal with those newspapers and the weekly newspapers, especially, who take almost everything you give them as long as you give it to them on time or ahead of deadline, in a manageable way, maybe 300 words, 400 words, or else no more than 500 words if you're writing an opinion piece, or even shorter to the point if you're writing a letter. We write letters now on websites. You don't have to have them written or typed and have someone sign them and someone mail them. You just go online. So another opportunity to constantly add to that comment page. Those are all the things that we know we need to do. But most importantly, as activists, it's important for you to help your candidate within each campaign scan and read the media every day. The candidate does not have time to go through 4 or 5 websites and read about what's going on in their campaign or what's going on in their community that they're trying to represent. If it's a multi-town district, especially acute for House and Senate candidates. If it's a selectman's race, even in a selectman's race, you need to assign someone each campaign. It's their business almost all day, or at least a couple of times during the day, to read the blogs, to read what's going on, to synthesize that information and give it to the candidate to say, this is what people are talking about, this is the issue at hand, here's some ideas on what to talk about. So the candidate can get that on their BlackBerry, on their iPhone, and they're ready to go. They're ready to go. So it's best to have maybe 1 or 2 people do that, not have 5 people do it and send all their ideas to the candidate, so the candidate's got 5 things to pick from. And you need someone to do that. It's very important to be seen as up and ready. My wife Susan is here. She's here to keep me on track. But she worked in the Linda McMahon campaign, and there was a time where the staff didn't prepare the candidate for something that was very crucial, seemed very obvious, and set that campaign back. So you are not paid people, but you're volunteer people, and the more you can prepare your candidates by what's going on in that time, the better for everyone. Read ahead. When we say that, plan ahead with the media. Don't be afraid to call a reporter and say, oh, that was a good story about our candidate, thank you. Or, if it's really bad, call and correct the reporter. Do it respectfully. Don't say it's you reporters and media clowns are always trying to get us Republicans and you know it, because that's just not going to get you anywhere. But let them know you're out there reading. Reporters have big egos, they're easily fractured, but they're easily manipulated. If they know someone's out there reading, they're going to pay attention, and you should do that. You not put up. There's a fine line, but you got to let them know you're reading. So that's also good. Videos. Everyone's got a video camera. Sometimes another idea you could do videos of your own mans in the street around your campaign candidate. For example, your candidate goes someplace, goes to a senior center, and they're talking about keeping the senior center. It's a local issue. We want to keep the senior center open. We want to get more state funds. Blah 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 blah. Take your camera, go in there, see if you can get feedback from some of the people after they listen to your candidate. Edit it down into a YouTube, put it on his website, say this is what the people in the senior center are saying. It has a level of authenticity and third-party endorsement. Now, obviously you got to tell those people that you're doing this for a campaign, but most people like to talk on camera. Everyone likes to talk on camera. Everyone likes to be on TV. So even if they're not on Channel 8 or Channel 25, they're on TV in the sense where the camera's going. So again, these are things that the activists can do while the candidate's being the candidate. On this sheet, as you go through them, I have a thing, Susan and I have a thing called the cliche police. And these are words, and the reason I'm bringing this up because you, as the eyes and ears of the campaign, I think it's very important that you are listening to your candidate and you listen closely to what your candidate says and how they say it. And if they use all of these, any of these words, you have the authority vested by the Connecticut Republican Party to beat them in the kneecaps with a baseball bat. And that's phrases like, at the end of the day. That being said, having said that, right-sized government as opposed to wrong-sized government. Let's tone down the rhetoric. Frankly, clearly, look, etc. as well. And then, of course, my favorite is, this is about jobs, jobs, jobs. As I wanted to say, it's about jobs, 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 jobs. And always my favorite, the political will to do the right thing. Now, I left number 10 out because I thought we would have a raffle later about what's your favorite non sequitur, overused, rich phrase is. But actually, Barack Obama did it the other night when he said, win the future. Win the future? What is win the future? Anyway. That's also known as WTF, as we all know. The reason I bring these out is that these words clutter. They clutter and they shut down the listener. When the listener hears a lot of these old cliches or metaphors or sort of bridge phrases, they shut down. They don't listen to what comes next. So it is your duty, politely, firmly, with your candidate to, at the end of the day, when it's literally the end of the day, sit down with your candidate and say, okay, good job on the key points you want to make, but you use these phrases. Try to cut these things out because a candidate only has a certain window of connection with the voter, and if they're cluttering it up with a lot of words like these phrases, it's just going to have a bad impact. That is annoying as you know what to listen to, but think of it that way. You're the eyes and ears. You're the audience that's going to be there with the candidate day in, day out. So you're not only looking to unclutter the message, but to make sure that the message is still consistent with what you're running on. Because we're all human beings. Candidates get bored of saying the same thing over and over again, so they'll play a little bit with it. And they'll go a little far afield, and they'll add another story. And all of a sudden, you've forgotten what you're running on. So it's your job to sort of bring the candidate in at the end and say, okay, good on this, this is where you went off, this is where you went on. And I think that's a critical element in any campaign. Keeping everyone honest. Keeping everyone honest in what you're doing. Because the more consistent and clear the message that you're hammering home, the more successful you're going to be.
I was asked to remind you guys that 10 minutes before we're done, so we can wrap up in 10 minutes.
Right. That's about all I have. Aside from this, it's easy to get frustrated. It's easy to watch television and get really frustrated. It's easy to listen to all the racket coming out of the liberal mainstream media, which the Northeast is the center of. But you have the opportunity to fight back on a whole different wavelength that's really getting through to people who are turning to alternative forms of communication, like social media, blogging, Facebook, Twitter, Flickr, the whole bit. Use it to promote your candidate, use it to defend your candidate, and use it to inform your candidate. Thanks.